By the time the 21st century swung around, the go-to formation that had reigned supreme throughout the 80s and 90s, the 4-4-2, had started being superseded by more complex structures on the football field. Fast forward to present day though, and the 4-4-2 is making something of an unlikely re-emergence within the world of football. So, could it be that we're seeing its return? It's impossible to say precisely when the 4-4-2 formation materialised as a credible tactical structure within the world of football. Its direct ancestor, the 4-2-4 formation, has precedents both in Hungary and Brazil, and the historian of football tactics, Jonathan Wilson, points out that the 4-2-4 shape was an inevitable development given the structures that were being used worldwide at that point in time. It wasn't long before the 4-2-4 went mainstream. The Brazil national team used it to win their first World Cup in 1958 and then again in 1970. But in the early 60s, Soviet coach Viktor Maslov made the tweak that turned the 4-2-4 into a 4-4-2, dropping the wide players in the front four alongside the two central midfielders. Now, part of the enduring popularity of the 4-4-2 structure comes from its capacity to divide up space functionally. At a time where zonal marking systems were gradually replacing the man marking systems that had been used, the 4-4-2 offers a nice base in which to defend and also gives scope for possessional structure, which has a lot of flexibility. The two strikers can push onto the opposition centre-backs, providing a threat in the box. The two wide midfielders can push up and isolate themselves against the opponent's fullbacks, looking to find the strikers in the box with crosses. And the central midfielders can arrive late to add an additional threat. It was this setup that led Sir Alex Ferguson to the treble in 1999. Andy Cole and Dwight Yorke as a strike partnership serviced by Ryan Giggs and David Beckham on the wings, with Paul Scholes pushing forward in attack, protected by Roy Keane in behind. But as time went by, the 4-4-2 started to fall out of fashion. In the early 2000s, teams were looking to possess the ball more, and the use of two strikers meant that teams playing the 4-4-2 could only field two central midfielders. Teams who wanted to possess the ball now started to drop one of their strikers deeper so that they could have an overload against two-man midfields, and before long, everyone was adopting the 4-2-3-1. Even now, 20 years later, most teams set up with a lone striker. But that doesn't mean that the 4-4-2 is dead. And of course, there are proponents of the 4-4-2 in the present day. Diego Simeone has made a name for himself playing out of the 4-4-2 structure, and Unai Emery has a lot of success with it too. But there is a form of 4-4-2 that's being used across elite football, and you might not even have realised it. And that is the 4-4-2 press. Because although 4-4-2 largely went out of fashion as an in-possession approach, it never really went away as an out-of-possession structure. And there are a number of reasons for this. Primarily, as we have said, it offers a really nice shape out of which to defend. It gives good coverage across the pitch. The two players in the first line can control the opposition backline and build-up, and then behind them, the two banks of four offer good protection. You can also use the wide midfielder and fullback to give you double coverage on the opposition wide player on either side of the pitch, or if you want to, you can push your winger higher up to press on the opposition fullback. The 4-4-2 shape is also easy to segue into from other possessional structures. For example, in 4-2-3-1, the number 10 can push up alongside the striker and the wide players drop alongside the central midfielders. Or out of a 4-3-3, the wide forwards can drop in and one of the 8s can push up alongside the striker. Both Manchester City and Liverpool have used this sort of out-of-possession shape in recent seasons. The 4-4-2 structure also lends itself well to mid-blocking. When teams use a mid-block, they sit slightly deeper and allow the opposition possession into their own half. But when they hit a point around the halfway line, they will start to put the opposition under pressure. The coverage offered by a 4-4-2 shape makes it the ideal setup for this sort of approach. So, as the 4-4-2 formation became less popular in possession, it never really went away as an out-of-possession approach. And in the intervening years, as out-of-possession structures have become increasingly important in the modern game, the 4-4-2 has seen something of a renaissance, given the sort of flexibility that it offers. You might not expect to see elite sides playing a 4-4-2 formation in possession in the next few years, but keep an eye out for it when a team loses the ball, and you might Be surprised. If you like today's video, please subscribe to the channel. And if you like Tifo, we think that you'll also like The Athletic. If you want the best news, features and interviews about the World Cup, the Premier League and European football, as well as loads of other sports, The Athletic is the place for you. And as part of our special deal, you can get it for £1 per month for 6 months. See the link in the description.